Ladies and gentlemen, Cpsboxingnews Inc. with the one and only Michael Conlan. It's been a pleasure to see you
Yeah,
again back in New York,
yeah.
where you always, perform, a few blocks away at the MSG. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Had a fight last Friday night. Got back on the win column, and I'm really happy. My next fight will be for a European title, so I'm happy.
Hey, we said, keep continue, performing, bringing, the best fights of you because I know that there's still gas on you. I mean, eventually, every time that you used to perform over here at MSG,
Yeah.
fireworks, facing every opponent that it was in the list and ducking no one. And that's, how you made of, your name. And it's a huge name right now when it comes to Irish boxing and everything like that. But
Yeah.
talking about the day of Irish boxing week, it's coming up, Sutherland
Yeah.
versus Callum walsh.
Yeah.
Tell us how do you see this match going?
I think Callum walsh was in there and looks destructive and looks spectacular on Sunday night. He's a great kid, a great humble, down to earth boy, and he's ticking all the boxes, beating everybody in front of him, and looking good while he's doing it. He's got now my old stomping ground, MSG, Paddy's Day weekend, everything which I used to do, and it's nice. It's nice to see the next crop of Irish boxing carry that tradition on. So I'm excited for him. I spoke to him just recently in the hotel here, and I says just enjoy this because this is the best night in boxing for an Irishman. St. Patrick's Day weekend in MSG, the Big Apple, the most Irish place probably in America, one of the most Irish places in America anyway. He's got the opportunity to go out there and shine in the mecca of boxing, and I think he will. I think he's a kid who doesn't lack confidence, and is very sure of himself, and needs to be in this boxing world that we're in now. So I'm excited for him. It's fantastic, and to get to see someone following in my footsteps and doing that, it's a pleasure.
Hey, it always says it's an honor always to see every fighter comes at the MSG. You perform. You just mentioned fighting in
Yeah.
Irish in St. Patrick Days week.
Yeah.
What was it for you? I mean, of course, you fought there. You definitely brought a great performance in every fight. What was
Yeah.
it for you to come over here and now you see your colleagues, the
Yeah.
guys that are coming right behind your steps,
Yeah,
now seeing
listen, it was always unbelievable. I loved it. I fought in the garden I think 7 times. Not all St. Patrick's Days, but some in December, some in the big room. Um, the main one kind of in the big room was against the Russian from the Olympics on me, Terence Crawford, and Teofimo Lopez, like done his triple header card. Teofimo won his first world title on that card. Bud beat Kavalauskas, and I beat the Russian, and that was a fantastic night. But St. Patrick's Day night, the atmosphere, you can't beat it.
It's huge.
You
It's
know,
huge. I've been there and I experienced there, and I'm pretty sure there's not gonna be a doubt that Sunday night is gonna turn.
it's
I
gonna
mean,
turn
I
green.
gotta say
It's
this,
gonna
right?
turn green.
Everyone is gonna turn green, including myself.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to Irish community, we support boxing and all these fighters that come
Yeah.
in. Let's say probably for the first time in MSG. I think it's exciting to see everyone. Recently, I just spoke with his opponent Dean, and he said that he's ready for bring the best action. I told him I seen Callum, I see Dean how they bring they got knockout power.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on it? That
Yeah, listen, it's a great fight. Dean's a fantastic fighter, but I just think Callum Walsh is on a roll, and everything is in his favour. He's the home fighter. Patrick's Day weekend, it's going to be crazy for him, and he seems like a kid who can handle the pressure. So it's a big ask for Dean, but more surprising things have happened in the past, so you can never write a fighter off, and you got to give every single fighter, Dean included, who steps in that ring credit, because a man fighting a man is not natural to the human being, but us fighters, we choose to do it, and do it wholeheartedly, and do it willingly, but it's very hard. it's very hard for any human being to do that. So, you got to give them all credit. The garden. I spoke to the garden. I spoke to them loads. I'm a bloody family member over there, so it's great. But every time I fought in St Patrick's Day, they broke records for their alcohol sales. They made the most money they've ever made any St Patrick's Days every time I fought there on St Patrick's Day weekend, and it's great. It's a great relationship with which the garden has with us Irish fighters, because we do sell the place out almost every time we fight there. So yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a great night. I expect a great fight between them two. My own fighter Kevin Cronin is facing Emma Brennan in a rematch, which happened on Callum Walsh's last card in Dublin. My fighter was robbed, hard done by, against the Olympian Emma Brennan, and the rematch, Dana White has called for a rematch and has put it on here on this card, and I'm very, very excited.
Interesting to see that match, how it will go, because eventually things that were not really in a favor that probably people wanted or the fighters wanted, but hey, this is the rematch that comes.
It's the rematch, and his shot at redemption, and that's something that I think he's going to grab with both hands on Sunday night, and it'll be great.
That'd be awesome to see action on Sunday. And talking about rematch and everything like that, I guess you were one of the viewers that eventually we saw the performance, Gervonta Tank Davis against Lamont Roach, champion versus champion. I mean, different weight class, but eventually Lamont Roach step up in his game in order to say, hey, let me be the challenger. I don't care if you call me the B side, but I'm coming to bring everything on me and show the world that I can be and I can defeat Gervonta Tank Davis. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, after we saw the results and everything like that.
It was very surprising. It wasn't the Tank that which I've seen in the past, and I believe he probably should have lost the fight, because the gel in the eye and like taking the break, that should be a 10-8 round, but it wasn't called, and the fight was a majority draw. So if that had been called correctly, Lamont would have won, and unfortunately he's had that ripped from him, and it would be nice to see it being overturned, but in the world of boxing those things don't really get overturned, so I'm not expecting it to, but I'd like to see it again. I would like to see it again, definitely. I think they need to run that back very soon in the next fight for both of them, and I think Tank will want to run it back, because Tank won't want to be thought of that way. He'll want to go in and try and put more of a destructive performance on. But I thought Lamont was fantastic and showed no fear. A lot of guys, when they fight Tank, they are fearful of the power and they're fearful of what's going to happen. But Lamont didn't give him that respect and fought his own game. And in my opinion, probably should have got the nod. But these things happen. Boxing's a very corrupt sport at times, as I've said in the past. So, yeah, I think he was hard done by, but Tank is still champion, Lamont is still a champion, the rematch is a must.
It's the most interesting part right now. I mean, we spoke with Oscar De La Hoya in a rounded press conference, and Oscar says, let me break it down, guys. Boxing is not a sport that you playing basketball and then you be like time out, my ankle or my hand and all of that. Boxing, they don't care if you're bleeding, you got something in your eye. Once you put your knee down, that's a knockdown. So Oscar says, as a gold medalist, as a professional boxer, he mentioned these are the rules, and the rules are the rules. So
the rules are the rules, and it baffled me how it wasn't counted or how it wasn't scored. But boxing, man, it's not a nice. It's not a game. I was gonna say it's not a nice game, but it's not a game, because it's your livelihood in there. It's life and death at times, and it's a very dangerous game. And every time you step into that ring, it's very dangerous. So to have something like that go against you and take an opportunity away from you, it's not nice. It's horrible.
Wow, that's impressive that you telling us those type experience, because I bet you before we jump it in another topic, what was the most that you sacrificed that people don't know? until this day, like, family, and it comes to yourself. I bet you that there were so many things behind the scenes that probably we don't know. If you would like to speak.
Yeah, listen, over the last 2 years, I've had an awful lot of family dramas, and through my last two defeats, I've been so much shit going on outside of sport for me, and probably kind of were affecting in my performances. But that is all in the past now, so I can't kind of dwell on it. But listen, I sacrificed so much. I leave my wife and my two kids, and I leave them for 10, 12 weeks in training camp. I'll probably go home once and see them once, and that's it. I've missed, I would say, almost more than half of my both my children's lives.
Wow.
For being in training camps. Because when I'm away, I'm away. When I'm at work, I'm at work, and that's all it is. It's complete dedication, complete commitment to the cause of trying to be a world champion, and that's what I've always done, and that's what I believe. To be the best, you have to sacrifice, and I do everything I can. I sacrifice things which, you know, if you don't go and achieve what you want to achieve, you have to ask yourself, was it really worth?
Hey, something that probably fight fans right now, they getting to know about you, because I mean, eventually, you just mentioned, you miss some of the time, being with your kids and everything like that, and people don't know sometimes when you guys as a fighter, they pay the price in order to become a world champion, or what, trying to achieve, your goals. And that's incredible, story that you just mentioned it. I know there should be, more than that, but I really like to say thank you for sharing this with the fight fans and everything like that. um, Serrano Taylor, women's boxing,
Yeah.
bringing always the best. What's your thoughts on it? Third fight that it's called for May, I think, if I'm not mistaken, July. I mean, excuse me, at the MSG again. First fight, it was spectacular. Second fight, I think, with all due respect to Jay Paul and Mike Tyson, people were more intriguing to
Yeah,
see
of
what,
course, of course.
what
That was the
Taylor
real
and
main
Serrano
event.
they will bring. But now the third fight over here, back in the
Back
MSG.
in the
What's your
garden.
thoughts on it? That now women's boxing is bringing action again.
The first fight was unbelievable and very close. Katie was the rightful winner, but it was very close, so could have went either way. The second fight, I thought she won more clear. I thought she was. I thought it was more of a Katie win. It was less close than the first fight. The third fight, I see it the same. I think Katie will win even cleaner this time, because the more she fights her opponent, the more she downloads that information of what she does and how she reacts and the different little things, and I think she'll win unanimously all around this time, with no doubters in the public or anything like that, because Katie Taylor is the ultimate professional, the greatest women's boxer of all time. And I'm not talking about talent or wins or this or that or how dominant she's been. What she has done for women's boxing, no one has done. She got women's boxing in the Olympics. She's now got women's boxing earning millions and millions of pounds. And how she fights, all action. She throws so fast and so much. It's beautiful to watch. And the general boxing fan who probably didn't like women's boxing could watch Katie Taylor and say, I like women's boxing because she's that entertaining. The same for Amanda Serrano. Maybe, listen, see what she's done. She's one of the greatest women's boxers of all time. Not as publicised probably as Katie, but what she's done, I think she's 7th division world champion. She's went up through weights. She's up at a weight which isn't her natural weight now, fighting Katie Taylor, and she's doing a great job. She's beaten almost everybody except Katie, but she's a special fighter, and when you watch her, you can look at her and go, wow, that's how these women are fighting these days. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy when we see these type of fights in women's boxing, because I've been talking with so many females boxers all over the places, and they said that they see Katie and Serrano as a pioneers of women's boxing, that they bring in to the top level. What's your thoughts? What goes in your mind when you hear these women that they bring, they follow in the step of Serrano and Taylor, and they not long ago I interviewed someone and says I would have loved to just do an sparring session with Katie Taylor or Serrano just to
Yeah.
see the experience
Well,
how it going.
I used to
What's your
spar.
thoughts when you hear
I
something
used
like
to
that?
spar Katie when I was like in flyweight as an amateur and stuff. I'm not lying. She is up there with the fastest hands I've ever been against, men and men included in this. Her hands are lightning fast, and she's unbelievable. I think that a lot of people would be surprised when they beat her because she is so fast. But for just the general public, I think what these girls have done, the profile they're building for women's boxing is unmatched. But now, if you look at the generation of women boxing coming through, the next generation, the talent level has went up, and these girls are getting better and better and better. You got to understand, women's boxing is still in its infancy. We're still in the infancy of women's boxing. So, if you think where's women's boxing going to be in 10 years' time, whew, we're going to have some real challengers, real champions, real fighters coming through. Because obviously in the past you would have women's boxers, there wasn't really much depth in terms of divisions or like fighters. There wasn't enough to kind of gain a lot of interest. But now with Katie bringing for the Olympics and then all these younger girls coming through, and now some of the champions coming through now, in the divisions now, you're going, wow, this women's boxing is really starting to take off, and it's great to see. I don't agree with women having to fight 3 minute rounds. I think that's silly, because I think there was a medical study done before. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe I did hear that like they dehydrate quicker than men or something like this, so damage can happen quite much easier in terms of head damage and stuff. So I don't think fighting 3 minute rounds would be smart, just for health reasons. 2 minute rounds is perfect for women. They can go 100 miles per hour for 10 rounds. If anything, if you wanted to try to kind of make it more like how the men are, do it over 12 rounds probably. But the 3 minute rounds I don't agree with.
So that doesn't make sense for you when it comes to women's boxing. We'll go 3 minutes for a round, excuse me. So that's interesting.
I would prefer to be 12 rounds rather than 3 minute rounds.
Very interesting, and eventually, I respect that that thought that you you just bringing in, because I've been speaking with women's and this sport, and they've been like, I don't mind to go 3 rounds, because they said if we do more like a sparring session,
Yeah.
I can do in a fight like that. But
The reason I say this because I believe there was a study done in the past about hydration and how dehydration happens quicker in women and stuff. So if that was the case, I wouldn't want to see it. If it's not the case, if I'm wrong, okay, let's see it in the future and in the next few years. Let's see it start to happen. I've seen some women fighting 3 minute rounds.
yeah.
But if it's not going to be changed by governing bodies or anything like that, what's the point, really?
You're right. And you got a point, because eventually, God forbid, we don't want to see any incident happen in nobody. Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
Men
I
or
don't
women's
think.
sport, it's always terrible to see, but especially in women's sport, because as men we feel more towards women, and we don't like to see women get hurt, and especially in boxing, it's a very hard game, very hard game, and I wouldn't want to see anybody get seriously damaged, especially a woman, in this game.
Eventually, you're speaking, of experience that you've been through. You also says that you share, some of the talent with against Katie Taylor, and she's who she is, and nothing, so much respect. And I always said, and I always encourage, every person, let's continue support women's boxing, because I think they deserve that. They've
100%.
been working so hard for this, making this happen, and nothing. Just let's continue supporting these two women that they're gonna bring great action at the MSG July. And Mike, at the other side, Times Square, right in the center, right in the heart. I don't know if you were, or you already heard the news that on May 2nd, Oscar
Yeah.
De La Hoya, Matchroom, and all these promotions, they bring in a crazy event right in the heart of Times Square. What's your thoughts when you hear for the first time
I was
ever,
like, how is this happening? How this they gotta stop everything in Times Square,
and for free?
put a boxing ring up, and let this happen? Wow, this is the city never sleeps. And you're gonna stop it for boxing? That's crazy. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be nice. Hopefully it's summertime, isn't it? It's gonna happen. So the weather will be nice. It's nice and warm here in the summer in New York. So if they get the right weather, the right time, and enough space for a big show, it'll be nice to see.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out, I mean, how they gonna build up the ring, how do they gonna do that, because eventually the weather can affect, that. But Oscar De La Hoya says we're gonna improve that. We're gonna do certain things that, we're bringing this for all of you, and that's gonna be for free. So Ramirez, Devin Haney, Ryan, Rowley, Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barbosa. I think this is an event that no one wants to miss it. So I don't know what's your thoughts on all these fighters
No,
that.
fantastic, fantastic. I rate all of the fighters very highly. Barboza, I know everybody personally, and with Arnold, I'm just sad because he fought one of the guys from Ireland and Sean McComb, and in my opinion, he lost that fight very clearly, 7 rounds to 3 possibly, and the decision went against the Irish guy, and I thought it was very unfair, and the rematch never happened, and then obviously Arnold's went on, done what he's done. He's done fantastic things. He beat Jack Catterall in Manchester, and he's done a great job since that fight. And the rematch doesn't look like it will ever happen now because he's kind of put a lot of distance between himself and that, and he's got bigger fish to fry, I suppose, and more money to earn. And who can begrudge a man for earning more money? You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I wish all the guys all the best. It'll be a great card, some fantastic fights, and I'm excited for it.
Hey, I don't want to miss it. This match, how it will go, and neither on Sunday that eventually King Callum walsh against Dean Sutherland, and eventually that you're gonna be there. It's gonna be also exciting because fight fans, everyone knows who you are, how you perform at the MSG, and continue bringing the best of you. Um, any message that you would like to send to the fight fans, audience, and everyone that will tune in this interview?
Just make sure you tune in Sunday night to watch Kevin Cronin beat Emmett Brennan first, and then watch King Callum Walsh put on a good performance and surprise. No, not surprise. Excite all Irish fans.
We will stay tuned and we will celebrate, St. Patrick's Day. Everybody, like you just mentioned, everyone will turn green.
Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. It's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. So thank you for everything. Wishing nothing but the best in your career. Ladies and gentlemen, from the city of New York never sleeps. With us, the champ from Ireland, Mike Conlan.
Thank you.